Alright, let's get started with a short video in SPSS. We'll go over a little bit of the data view and variable view, and then I'll show you quickly an independent t-test, and then relate that to our now one-way analysis variance. So here we have the data view. We could place data in here. Let's place the values of 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, and 7. And we can see that it automatically gave a default name variable with a bunch of zeros and a 1. We could change that by going to variable view. So I'm in variable view now. I'm just going to change that to Y. And I'll go ahead and label these and give them a label of quiz score. So maybe these are quiz scores for 6 students. I'm going to go ahead here under name, create a new variable and call it group. And we will have an online and a face-to-face group that we're going to compare. So I'll go ahead and give value labels for those that have never done that before. Under values, I will select the value of 1 and I will call it online. Add and a value of 2 and just FTF for face to face and hit add and click OK. So now group, this is a type of learning, you could call it, or some sort of learning method. I'll go ahead and put that in here. Learning method. We go back to our data view. We can see that variable has been changed to Y, and we have group here, but with no data. So I'll go ahead and split these up into 2 groups, 1, 1, 1, and 2, 2, 2. So we have group 1 and group 2. So this is just a simple one-way analysis, well, it could be a one-way analysis of variance, but we're going to do a one-way independent t-test to start, assuming the 2 groups are independent. I'm going to go to Analyze. I'm going to go to Compare Means. A independent sample t-test. I'm going to select that. I get the dialog box. And for my dependent variables, I'm going to select quiz, score, or Y. That's already in there. So now I'm going to take learning method and our groups. I have to define groups. I'm going to go ahead and select define groups. Define group 1 as 1 and group 2 as 2. And click continue. We're not going to do any of the options here. There's really not that many anyway. And now I'll click OK. And I get some outcome data. First, we can see we have our group statistics. We have the difference between a mean of 2 and a mean of 5. Seemingly pretty large differences, but very small sample size. Only 3 people in each group. We have a standard deviation of 1 for group 1 and 2 for group 2. Seems like a pretty big difference potentially, and we can see down under our test statistics, our first thing that comes up is Levene's test of equality of variance. We get an F value of 0.8, and we see that that value is not significant, so it's not big enough to cause us any trouble. And we can go ahead and cross equal variance assumed and see that this is not significant. We have a t of negative 2.3 and a significance of over 0.08. So it's not so much that the outcome here specifically is important, but just the general reading of it. Should have learned some in class and should be recapped. But if not, we first go to Levene's test and see whether or not the F test is significant. If that F test is significant, then it means that there's a difference in variances, and we should use the equal variance not assumed. If this is not significant, that is, if Levene's test is not significant, above 0.05, then we can use that first row here, equal variance assumed. All right, now we're going to go back to our data. Let's go ahead and put in a couple more data points, about 6, 8, and 10. And let's call those 3, 3, and 3. So we have a third group now. Well, now we could do a whole bunch of t-tests, comparing group 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and 2 to 3. Or we could use our one-way analysis of variance. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead back to variable view. And under where we had values, I'm going to go ahead and put in group 3 and call that both. It's some form of hybrid, online and face-to-face course. So now we can test our one-way analysis of variance using SPSS and see that amongst any of these groups, is there a significant difference? This is the omnibus test we're going to start with. So in SPSS, if you go to Analyze and you go to General Linear Model, we see that we have univariate, multivariate, repeated measures, and variance components. Those first three allow you to do many analyses. Let's go ahead to start with univariate. That's where we're going to do our one-way analysis of variance, or one-factor analysis of variance. So I'm going to select univariate, and we have a dialog box that pops up. First, we have a place to put a dependent variable, so we know that the outcome scores we care about are individual quiz scores. So I'm going to place quiz scores in dependent variable. Go ahead and click it over. And now I have a grouping variable. Well, for our one-way analysis of variance, our one-factor analysis of variance, we have one factor. We select the levels, so we're going to call those fixed factors. So I'm going to go ahead and put the learning method in as a fixed factor. Now there's several options off to the right-hand side of this dialog box. I'm not going to select any of them to start, but we'll come back and maybe do some of those in a later video. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And we get some basic results. First, we can see that for our between subject factors, there were 3 people in each group. That is, N is 3 for group 1, 2, and 3. And now we get a test of between subjects effects. So you should be studying this in your class, where we have the between group difference and within group difference, and we want to see whether or not between variance is large enough or greater than within group variance. And in this case, we end up with a group. We can go down to the group value here for our independent variables, look across and see that our F value is 9. Our significance is 0.016, which means amongst those group, as an omnibus test for this one-factor analysis of variance, there is a significant difference. That is, there's a difference amongst those means somewhere that we should explore further. And we'll explore that further in another video. For now, this was just to get you started, and I should follow up, or will follow up, with a couple short videos, keeping them brief so that maybe you will be able to easily go over